level. Cause homie, I'm twice your prime. Hip hop shows and radio. There you go. Hip hop, hip hop, hip hop.
Greetings, travelers! After another late start, our plan today was to check out Sainte Chapelle, then the Notre Dame Cathedral, mosey on over to the Paris Catacombs, and end the day with the Arc de Triomphe since it was barricaded off yesterday. Musée d'Orsay was crossed off the itinerary due to a lack of interest and in order to get that much more sleep. Sainte Chapelle is famous for its stunning stained glass windows, which are considered among the finest in the world. The chapel also houses a remarkable collection of relics and is a masterpiece of Gothic architecture. Though we had the Paris Museum Pass, which allows access to Sainte Chapelle and a ton of other places, we weren't able to get in because we didn't reserve a time slot. Looking online, there weren't any remaining time slots for today, so we were SOL. However, even the people that reserved their time slot were having to wait up to an hour past their scheduled time in order to get in. So, we didn't bother. Maybe next time. Luckily, the Notre Dame Cathedral was a 5-minute walk away, so we just went there. There was a bread festival going on at the same time, and it wasn't clear where the line to get in the church ended. So, I pulled the old, let me stand by this barricade for a few minutes and pretend I'm looking for Alan, before just slipping into the line. No one said anything, and I got into the church about 15 minutes before Alan did. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. The insides of this cathedral looked a lot like many others we've seen on this trip, so I wasn't struck with a sense of awe. Then again, I haven't been here before, so I'm not sure how it compares now versus before the fire in 2019. If I was going to rank the interiors of Notre Dame's, though, I think the Basilica in Montreal is better. There was a service happening when we visited. Behind the service there was a gated room called the choir that you couldn't get into, as well as some ambulatory chapels along the outer edge. Apparently, this gold disc is referred to as the Crown of Thorns. Off to one side of the cathedral, you could pay 12 euros to enter the treasury. I still had some paper currency to use up, so I figured I would do some exploring. Inside, there were many priceless artifacts, mainly sculptures, vestments, chalices, and what have you. Taking pictures and videos was a bit challenging due to the reflections off of the glass, but a lot of these relics were just too cool looking not to share. Once back outside the treasury, there wasn't much left to see. The ceiling and chandeliers are pretty dope, though. Choose your character class. Dibs on the sleepy guy. I had no idea where Alan was, so I went outside to snag some footage of the facade. And I had time to learn about this bread festival. Much love to the baguette. Most of the baking was done by the time I got here, but I did get to see a couple bakers roll out some things. Most of the crowd was waiting in line to buy some of the bread that was just made. After lunch, we were off to the Paris Catacombs. The Paris Catacombs are an extensive network of underground tunnels and ossuaries in Paris, holding the remains of over 6 million people. While the entire underground network of former quarries extends for more than 300 kilometers, around 186 miles, only a small portion, about 1 mile, is open to the public as a museum. The tunnels originally served as limestone quarries, providing the stone to build many of Paris' iconic structures since Gallo-Roman times. By the 18th century, Paris faced a severe public health crisis due to overcrowded cemeteries. The decaying bodies led to unsanitary conditions, contaminating water sources, and causing unpleasant odors. Around the same time, the unregulated nature of the old quarries led to frequent and disastrous mine collapses, with entire buildings falling into sinkholes. To address both problems, King Louis XVI's administration, starting in 1785, began transferring the remains from the overflowing cemeteries to the reinforced underground quarries. The bones were initially just dumped into the tunnels, but in the early 19th century, it was decided that they would be organized into the artistic arrangements seen today, complete with walls of skulls and femurs. The catacombs officially opened to the public in 1809, becoming a unique and popular attraction. The most striking part is the ossuary itself, where walls of neatly stacked bones and skulls create a haunting yet fascinating display. Everyone was very quiet, almost limiting their talking to whispers, as if we were attending a funeral. History lesson aside, I found the ossuaries to be pretty wild. The makeshift hallways go on forever. The lack of constant lighting and the damp floors add to the ambiance. The long dark hallways gave me old school first person shooter vibes. I should have used this opportunity to practice my strafing. Most of the signage says where the bones come from. Sometimes there will be a quote instead. Like seriously, the rows of bones just doesn't end. It's crazy to see that many human remains all in one place. I think some people were a little creeped out being in the catacombs, but I found the whole thing to be fascinating. It was nice to see that everyone was respecting the site. I didn't see anyone touch or mess with the bones in any way. Just a bag of bones. Once we were done with the catacombs, we found our way to the Arc de Triomphe. Much like the Eiffel Tower, there isn't usually a French flag here. However, it looks kind of cool with the sun behind it and all. There's a tunnel that goes under the 12-lane roundabout in order to access the Arc itself. I was hoping we would be able to go to the top of the Arc to see the views, but I guess the Arc's roof was given the day off today. We didn't stick around for too long, as there wasn't really much to do at the Arc. So, we took a subway ride over to the I Love You wall, since it was on the way back to our hotel. That was gated off too, but I was able to get a pic with me in front of a picture of the wall from a storefront window. Then it was time for some Tibetan food before just walking around aimlessly until it was time to go to bed. We fly back to Boston tomorrow afternoon. After 3 days in France, what did we think of the place? Alan gives it an overall score of 7 out of 10, saying that Paris is a beautiful city, the food and the people are great, but we didn't get to see as much as we would have liked. The crowds were a bit excessive in spots. Me? Definitely B+, possibly A- territory. There's just so much going on in Paris that I could have easily spent a few more days here and not get bored. We weren't able to get through the entire itinerary, and there were some locations I didn't even plan to visit on this trip but would like to see in the future, such as Versailles. I could see myself taking another week off, spending a few days in Paris, and then visiting either London, Switzerland, or someplace in Germany and having a grand old time. And I'm not much of a city guy either. This concludes this series of videos. I hope you liked them. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe so you are aware of the next adventure I end up taking, wherever that may be. À la prochaine!